Hi everybody, this is Oksana. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this ring here, and this is based on a really old video. I'll show you a picture here if that looks familiar. If you've been around that long, it's from 9 years ago. I wanted to remake that using square and half round wire because that old video used only round wire, so just to give you a little bit more of a variety, you can make it with half round and square wire instead. So this is what the ring looks like with that type of wire. I twisted the square wire here and I didn't twist it here, just so you can see the difference. So if you want to see how I made this, I think I also made a tiny other adjustment with the swirl possibly, but other than that it's very similar and it looks similar as well. So if you want to see how I made this ring, it's a nice fun basic ring because it uses a bead, so it's much easier than a cabochon and it's fairly quick to make as well. Let's go ahead and get started. For our wire, we're going to need some 20 gauge square and some 24 gauge half round for our thinner wire. These are both dead soft copper and they are from riogrande.com. For tools, you'll need some wire cutters. These are the Swanstrom brand wire cutters and they came in a kit. So I also have these pliers that I'll be using. These are nice and wide, so I like them for pressing across the ring band, but you technically only need one set of pliers, even though I have two here just because of the difference in size. These are good for getting into tight little spaces because they're so pointy here, so I'll be using both. And these are the Lindstrom RX 7890, and then some round nose pliers for making the swirls. These are also Lindstrom and they are RX 7590. This is my little bead that I'm going to be using. It appears to be maybe about 8 millimeters or so, but it doesn't have to be a specific size, but it does need to fit on your wire, on your 20 gauge wire. That's really important. And what you want to do, this is a little scrap that I took, is you want to figure out the length that your ring band needs to be for the size ring that you want. So here's how we're going to do that. Say I want it to be an 8. I'm going to bend this around my ring mandrel, around the size 8. But one thing to note is that the bead will also take up some space. So you want to leave space for the bead. If I remove it here, so that is the length that I need it to be, is up to this bend that I made. So if I straighten this out now, I can use this to measure. So we're going to have two pieces of that 20 gauge wire, and they are about 9.5 inches, let's just say 10 inches. So that little tool that I made myself, this is how long the ring band needs to be. So if you just kind of hold them in the middle, position this, you can mark where to start and where to stop with a marker, or you can just hold it with your hand. Like I'll just hold it here so I know to start here, and then I'll just use this to see if my wrap is long enough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to wrap around these two wires with our half round wire to make our ring band. So we're just going to take our half round wire, position it the flat side down, the half rounded side up, and let me wrap this little tail end just a tiny bit to get it started. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to guide the half round wire with one hand, and I'm going to turn these two wires, oh, I think it's getting twisted, with the other hand, and you can watch the wire to make sure it's laying the flat side down, the half rounded side up. And if it is twisted anywhere, you can just untwist it when you get to that part. And I'm just turning the wires and I'm winding just like this. Okay, so you want to do that for your entire ring band. So if you didn't mark it with a marker, you would take that little piece of wire and you would check if it's long enough, you know, once it starts getting long. And another thing you could do, if you didn't want just this wrapped around look, if you actually wanted a pattern, in that older video, since it was round wire, I did a weaving pattern, but you can do a weaving pattern with half round wire, and I will link a video for you that I have on a pattern you can do. So if you wanted to make your ring band a little fancier, just watch that video and do that pattern. But I'm just gonna go ahead and continue this off camera since it's really repetitive, and I'll come back when it is long enough. All right, so now it's long enough. And here is my little wire. It's the right length. So you can cut only the little tail end that you started with. Don't cut the other wire. All right, and wherever you cut, that's gonna be the front. So not the inside of the ring band that touches your finger, but the outside. So just remember that. So when you bend this into a ring, you leave the little wire end on the outside and not inside where it could potentially poke your finger. So now I'm just using those pliers that I showed you guys earlier to just press over this whole ring band, and you can see it looking flatter. All right, so once you've done that, you can grab your ring mantle and you can start bending it around the size that you want it to do. Again, this wire is still here. So we have this wire here, and that is the side on which we are going to separate the two wires. So I'm just taking the bottommost wire, bending it down. And then this other side, what you want to do is just kind of raise the wires up a little bit, just so they don't get in your way. All right, so I've bent it around my ring size. Here you can see these wires bent out of the way, this wire bent downwards. Now I can take my little bead here, slip it on the wire that I'm putting it on, and this is this wire here. It's on this side where the wire, the thin half round wire is still attached. All right, so I slipped it on here just like that. And what I'm gonna do now is just kind of position it so it's going along with my ring band here. Now I'm gonna take this wire, so here it is, it's kind of on top of these. I want to wrap it around. All right, so I'm putting it through the actual band like that. And what you can do, you have two choices. You can trim it and then just kind of close up this little loop that you formed, or if you want to make the little swirl, you would just press down on this a little bit first, and now we'll trim it and leave ourselves a little end here so we can make a swirl. So it's up to you how you feel about swirls, but it is possible to avoid the swirls if you don't like them. So if you are going to do the swirl and you left yourself this little end, I'm just going to take my round nose pliers, I'm squishing the little end here, and I'm turning it to form the swirl. I'm just going to continue with that until it is completed, just like that. And with my pliers, I'm going to press down on that, really important. If you are going to do the swirl, press it really flat up against your ring band, because if it's raised, it can get caught on things. All right, so here's what it looks like so far. And we have our half round wire here. It is next to this wire. So what you want to do is, if you're looking at your ring, these two wires, we're going to kind of bend them up like this, just so they're not going to get in our way. We're going to work on this wire here. So I'm going to, and you don't have to, but it's a look that you can give your wire when you wrap your half round wire around a single wire like this. If you wanted this to be a simpler ring that is quicker to make, you don't need to do this. You can just leave the wire bare. You can, trim the half round wire where it ended there and leave the wire bare. But I'm gonna do this little wrapping of the half round wire. I like the way that it looks. And you just need to do this long enough so that it can reach across your bead there and get to the other side. So you can check how it's looking. It's going to be bent across the bead. Not quite long enough for mine, needs to be just a little bit longer. All right, I think we're getting there. Let's check. Yep, that's quite good. That's where I want it to end. So I am going to trim that wire. Just like that, leave a tiny little end so we can kind of just tuck it under so the end is not exposed here on the top where you can feel it. Instead, we're tucking that end away kind of underneath this wire, and the underneath of this wire part is going to be kind of hidden. You won't be able to touch it, so it's not going to cause any problems. So like this. And put it through the band of the ring. Here it is coming through to the other side. And now we're gonna trim it. Just like that. And then we're gonna take the wire end and we're gonna essentially just form a loop by pressing on this wire end and closing up the loop that we've created. Okay, so the wire end is just tucked away in there. It's not poking down here on the inside of the ring. That's going to touch your finger. It's smooth. And then here is our wire that we just did going across there. So now we have these two wires. Let's just bend them a little more in this direction. So you can leave one of them bare, or you can twist it since it's square wire. I'll show you what that looks like. So you just hold it and twist. Oops. And just like that. And it just makes this twisted kind of look. The more you do it, the tighter the twist becomes. But if you do it too much, the wire can become a little bit fragile. So don't overdo it. So you would bend this around just like that. And again, we're just going to wrap it around the ring band. Just like this, and we're going to do the same thing where we're going to treat this like a little loop where we trim it, and then we take that little end and we close up. Oops, we just close up that loop like that, so it's wrapped around the ring band and the wire is finished off. Now with this wire, again, you can leave it plain, you can twist it. I'm just kind of adjusting it. There we go. It was kind of on top of the other wire. I wanted to move it. Or you can do what we did here, which is what I'm going to do. Wrapping the half round wire around it for texture. So the first thing you do is you get the half round wire started. Flat side down, half rounded side up. I'm just grabbing that little tail end of it and just kind of wrapping it to get it started, get it attached. I'm just gonna press on that little wire end. There it is. Let's slide that down. Make sure the wire end is not visible, like it's not sticking up towards you, it's underneath. Let's push that down. Push that down in there. Here it is. So now I'm just going to continue with that, and I'll probably just do this off camera until it's long enough to reach the other side. All right, I think this might even be too long. I think I got a little bit carried away. Let's see. So let's start bending this. I'm just putting it right next to that twisted wire. Oh, it's not too long. As a matter of fact, it could be a smidge longer. All right, perfect. So we'll trim the wire end, tuck that away underneath in there. All right, now we can take this wire, work it under through the ring band to the other side and all the way around, just like that. And now we can do the swirl on this side. So for the swirl, we're just gonna squish the end of the wire, grab it with our round nose pliers, just like this, and let's just go ahead and make the swirl. Make sure to press down on it really well with your pliers. Here's that other swirl. I'm just gonna come back here and press on the other swirl. Sometimes when you have been messing around and making the ring, it can shift things out of place a little bit. So let's take a look at our ring. I'm gonna put it on the ring mandrel. Let's see. I'm gonna put it on my ring mandrel, and my ring mandrel has this little gap on the other side for the bead to go. So I'm gonna put it on that side just so I can adjust it. Make sure it looks good. Okay, let's put it on this actual side though to measure. It worked out to a size 7. And then here is what it looks like on. All right, so here's a finished ring, and then here is that other ring, which is the same, but the bead's a little smaller, and I didn't twist the wire. So you can see that for comparison, what they look like. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.